Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Vino Frankel, A Taste of Sculpterra, the weekly podcast I bring to you. We talk about grape growing, winemaking, Arroway, Sculpterra wines, everything that I'm involved with in the winery and vineyard. I don't just make the wines and manage the vineyard, but I'm involved in the tasting room, events, outside pourings. I love what I do. It's a ton of fun. And today I've got two amazing guests. It's Pastor Gus Bess' first time here. Pastor Gus, if you could introduce yourself for a little bit.
Well, it's glad to be here. Thank you, Paul, for inviting me. The Lord says that we were dead in our trespasses and sins. Well, I'm that man. I came out of the United States Marine Corps, a lot of combat, and the Lord found me. And he picked me up on his shoulders, and I have quite been transformed ever since. Mm-hmm. And so it's a just joy to be with you. Plus, I love your winery, and I love you. You're a great man of God. Thanks for letting me be here.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's great because Pastor Gus likes wine. He enjoys wine, and he spent a lot of time with my dad. They've walked through the property, through the vineyards, up the hills with the dogs. So
Amen.
He knows the land very well. And as you know, grape growing is all about the land. And our second guest, I've got our employee man back.
Howdy, Brian Kusko. I'll
Brian
be back
Kusko.
Now, maybe next week, maybe a few weeks after. I don't know. I think I'm on the schedule a lot coming up. We'll see.
Yes.
Amen.
Yes. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, I'm going to be on vacation next week, so the show must go on, and I'm going to have him lead the whole deal.
We'll see what happens. Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Thank you, Brian. So before we go any further, please leave a comment, like, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We want to hear from you, answer your questions. If you have any questions about when we're open every day, the tasting room from 10 to 5. So you don't need to make a reservation for tasting. Just come on in. If you want to make a reservation, go ahead and do that. But we're open every day, 10 to 5. Okay. We always taste wine, of course. So at the end of today's show, we're going to try Reserve Primitivo. Primitivo is one of the grapes that we grow on the property. And the Reserve Primitivo is super special. I don't bottle it every year. And I did a back-to-back bottling of 2022 and 23. I thought that would be fun to taste. And I'm going to go ahead and talk about what makes Reserve. Is it because of the barrels or the harvest timing or the rows of grapes? There's a lot that goes into that. But these are excellent wines, and I want to have us in the studio taste them and talk about them.
It's maybe my favorite part of the podcast is the
I would
wine.
say this is going to be one of my favorite parts.
It can't be a wine podcast without tasting wine. We have to taste wine. So that's what we do. But first, little update in the winery and vineyard. So we're wrapping up. It feels like Christmas and New Year's now over. We're still putting away Christmas lights. You know, we went. I don't know if you saw our place for Christmas.
Yes, we did at Christmas.
We had a ton of lights, and we're tidying up, putting everything away, trying to put the lights away so they don't break. You know, trying to be super careful, organize everything in its right place in its own bin, separate, pallet wrapped, and taken care of, and put into storage. But we've pruned this week. In fact, we're pruning right now. Yesterday, Monday, was the first day where we hired a crew of guys and gals to come in and prune. We took pictures early in the morning, so we can look at those right now too. And it's a great time because pruning is so important.
Yes.
You know, if you could really either mess the vine up for the year or get it on the right track for the year. The way you prune will determine how much crop is going to be set. And it's hard. It's hard to do because you're also, when you prune for this year, it also affects what's going to happen next year. So if you prune incorrectly this year, the next year you have to spend even more time on each vine to try to clean it up and prune it properly. So our crew that's doing it has a lot of experience. They go from ranch to ranch, vineyard to vineyard, and they know if we're doing cane pruning or spur pruning or how many buds per spur. So there's a lot of things to think about.
What is the difference between the two? Between canes versus bud? What?
Yeah, the tasting room vineyard, for example, is on VSP, which is vertical shoot positioning, and it's a permanent cordon, so it's a permanent piece of the vine that stays there, and we prune back each spur to 2 or 3 buds per spur. Where if it's cane pruning, we use last year's growth, that 1 year wood that comes from the head, and we choose 6 to 8 canes to leave behind that we're going to tie, and the other canes we just eliminate altogether.
Gotcha.
So you only get fruit from 1 year old wood. It doesn't matter how you train the vine, you only get fruit from 1 year old wood. So you have to prune that 1 year old wood back, either down to the trunk, back to the cordon, or eliminate as much as you can and leave some 1 year old wood to bear fruit for this year.
There's your biblical tie-in right there.
Wow.
For sure.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, next week I'll be gone. I'll be on vacation. Might be the only vacation I take this year. Looking at lots of things at the tasting room and winery. So we have a lot of events, but So I got this one nice family vacation. We're going down to Mexico. Looking forward to that. It's been cold. I know you guys have seen frost every morning. On Friday it was 26. Got down to 26 degrees on our property. That was the coldest day we've had this year. But frost is good right now because it keeps the vines dormant. We don't want the vines thinking, hey, it's the middle of spring, it's warm, and they start pushing new growth. And then a frost comes in and burns that bud down, and then you won't get fruit for this year. It won't kill the vine, but it'll take away the crop.
Limit the fruit
this year. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's nice if it stays cold. Usually, March, April, May, that's when the frost is over and we're into spring. So I'm also I'm doing a 5K race this year.
You are? Yola boy.
For my birthday, because I'm turning 40, so I wanted to do Paul's 5K at 40.
That is awesome.
And everybody that comes to my party has to participate. So if you don't want to race, you could just...
No, I think it sounds good.
Yeah, because I did a 5K run with my son's homeschool group a couple years ago, and the kids, they ran a couple weeks prior and practiced, and they loved it, and almost all of them completed the race. So I was thinking, well, I'm going to be 40. It's a
You're
big
gonna
year.
Be 40.
Let's celebrate, and let's all get in shape together.
Can you remind me what month that is? Because I'm always training, but I just want to make sure I'm really ready.
I want you to come. It's going to be my birthday's February 17th, but I want to do the race on Sunday the 15th. So it's the day after Valentine's Day. Valentine's Day is Saturday the 14th, and we'll do the race after church on Sunday. And I have a whole track laid out. We start at my house. We go to the tasting room around the vineyard, through the pistachios, over the creek, and it's exactly 5K.
Oh, dude,
so,
this is perfect.
I think when we have birthdays, certain birthdays, it's good to think of something physical to do that you normally haven't done or haven't done for a while.
Everybody wants to eat and drink, and
Well, on my 70th birthday, I wanted to do what was called toes to bar. You hang from a bar and just bring your feet up over the top of the bar constantly. And I did it.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. In fact, they videoed me in the whole 9 yards. It was a CrossFit place. I went in at 69, said, this is what I'm going to do by 70. And they said, okay. And I did it 3 months before. And it was really cool. I think always making a good goal like that.
Yep, exactly. Well, thank you. Pastor Gus, all right, I'm going to ask you a couple questions here. Have you always enjoyed wine?
No. I grew up in a different place, and former Marines, and I'd say beer and bourbon were my deal. And it was the most strangest thing how I learned to drink wine or enjoy wine. Yes. Would you like me to tell you how that happened?
Yes, please.
I actually was touring up north in Sonoma up there in Napa. It was about 35, 40 years ago. Went into a winery, never had done that. They had a tasting room. By the way, in those days, it was all free back then. And I walked in, and they said, what do you like to taste? I didn't know what I wanted, and they said, would you like red? And I said, yeah. And I don't know. I don't know how anybody does that. And then a couple standing behind me said, you don't like red wine? I said, no. Do you know what it is? I said, no. I just don't like it. Well, I didn't know they happened to be the owners of the vineyard. They took me to a wine tasting room, and they said, they showed us this glass, and they said, think of wine as food. You're still thinking of it like taking a sip of bourbon. I said, yeah. He said, no. He swirled it in the glass. Told me to smell it.
Right.
No. Smell it with your mouth open. I don't smell it with my mouth open. Everything seems stupid. So I did. And then all of a sudden he looks at me and he says, "Well, hey, now here's what I want you to do." And he curled his tongue like a, and he says, "I want you to this wine and let it roll over your tongue." What? I just feel stupid here. So, but first I gagged on it. I put it in my lungs, and he says, "No, drink it." So I did it again, and all of a sudden, it was like a party went off in my mouth. I had never had taste buds like that, and that red wine was delicious, and it started me on a journey. And from that time on, and he said, "Next time you barbecue, you like barbecue?" I said, "Yeah." You take that ribeye, take a piece of steak, put that in your mouth, start to chew it just a little, and then you take a sip of this wine and watch what happens. Changed me forever. Okay. And that's why I'm even here today, because I like your wine so well. I mean, I love it. I happen to think you got the best winery, period, here.
Oh, thank you. Very cool. All right. So ever since then, you've been into wine. And you enjoy whites and reds, or predominantly reds?
Both. Mm-hmm.
You like both. Okay. Could you ever see yourself as a winemaker? Have you ever been interested in making wine?
I've never seen myself as a winemaker because it's too complicated. I mean, when I look at what you do, I can't even put it in my brain. I've been there when I've watched you making stuff, and
you've seen the bottling truck too.
The bottling that time, and then a long time ago, many years ago, you had these people come out and they were harvesting, and you challenged me to come and see if I could beat them. Well, I never got the chance to come out, and you said, "Gus, you would have never beat them." So as to watch the process, I am stunned that wine is as cheap as it is.
Yeah.
It is a huge process.
Yep. Amen to that. Yep.
Yeah, so I've never thought of myself as a winemaker. I don't have the patience.
Yeah.
Yeah. I put the grapes in the barrel. Let's get it done.
Let's enjoy it right away.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go to Brian. I have a couple questions for Brian here. Brian, I've noticed that you have a good palate. The episodes you've been on and just tasting wine with you at the winery, you're able to pick up aromas, bouquets, and flavors. Have you always had a good palate?
I don't know that I've always had a good palate per se. I mean, I do enjoy food, and I like smelling things. I like using the senses God gave me to experience the world in the best way possible, I guess. But like Gus, I was really into bourbon myself. Like I actually had a bourbon tasting channel for a bit, so you spend a lot of time trying to pick the notes out. Yeah. I got to a pretty decent point where my buddy would pick one out of the few hundred bottles I have sitting in the house, put it in a bag, pour me a glass, and then I'd have to guess what it was we were drinking. And more times than not, I would be able to guess it, which blew my mind. But it's just paying attention to the different notes, like making the connection between like different memories and stuff as far as which things you're smelling. And that's how I had a similar experience to Gus here, like just a few weeks ago, actually, with wine. When I was using that same technique, I saw Donna sitting over here, and she was doing that technique you were talking about with the doing that. And I've heard of it. I think I've seen people do it before at tasting rooms, but I'd never done it myself, because the same reason as you. Like, no, I'm not doing that.
This looks stupid.
And if you try that with bourbon, it's really it doesn't work out so well.
No, it's not a good.
No, the bourbon is a whole different technique to try and get the notes out. There's still the smelling, like the open mouth, and kind of getting this circular thing happening here, but. With the wine recently, like I did that, and I found myself doing it with every sip. Like even at dinner, I'm just like just trying to be quiet, not bother me. Really. and man, yeah, it just like opens up. There are so many notes that you can pick up, and I think that the whiskey actually helped me, because trying to cut through the notes. We're trying to cut through the ethanol, I should say, of the whiskey to get to the notes of it. That's a process. That's what I love about wine recently, is that you don't have to fight to get the notes. I mean, you can do this flipping. You can let it coat the whole inside of your mouth and tongue. You do that with bourbon. It's like you're gonna be burning.
You're gonna be burning.
You're gonna be burning. Yeah. So
not comfortable.
Yeah. I don't know what to attribute it to. I mean, I think I just really think about it. I'm tasting it. I'm taking it all in. I'm like, what is it? Because there's those frontal notes that you get, right? Like the fruits and the oak, or the different things. But then there's all those background things that you kind of have to think past what you're tasting up front, and then think about, well, there's like maybe some fennel or something from your childhood maybe pops up. And I don't know. It's quite a fun experience. I think the fact that I genuinely enjoy it so much is why it works. it's like I really do want to find out what am I tasting?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now that you've experienced harvest too, because I've had the experience happen to me where the grapes are being crushed and you smell the smell in the building. It's like a blackberry, rather there's some smell, and that smell stays in the wine years later. And you're like, I remember that day that we picked grapes and the grapes came in super ripe and it was cold out and this aroma filled the room, and it's there now. You know, and then it takes you back to that time and the workers and everyone there, and you remember what you were doing that day. It's
absolutely,
it's a great feeling.
I think it's a great thing with wine, how you're well, of course, like everything, we're aging and maturing, but the flavors, when you go like to your winery and I take people into the taste, and it's amazing to me the amount of different flavors. I mean, if someone just looks at red wine, they just think it's red wine. It's not red wine. It's so radically different. Mm-hmm. The mixtures and some of the Bordeaux's and things that you put together are absolutely fabulous.
Thank you. Back to Brian. Brian, what is your favorite part thus far working at Sculpterra? You've been at Sculpterra for months now.
Favorite part?
It's going great.
That's a big ask. It's like asking you what's your favorite wine that you make, I think.
Yep.
Right at this point right now. I mean, there's definitely aspects that I enjoy a lot. I've obviously loved making video. I love editing videos. I love taking pictures and letting my artistic side or the freedom to express. You give me a lot of freedom to like, we'll try whatever, and I just pass it to you like, what do you think of this? And a lot of times it's like, oh, that's great. So I think how well we've worked together in this short time has been definitely one of the highlights. Who you work with makes a big difference. And if we didn't get along, I think we wouldn't have made it past the 1 month mark. You know what I mean? But I think the amount of laughter that we get to have while we're working.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Yeah. And then, just the space. And I think I don't know, everybody that I've talked to that knows the space, and hearing Pastor Gus talk about it just now, like about walking through the property, like whether it's from the amount of prayer that's actually gone over the land, or like Rachel and Randy telling me about Bible studies you guys had up on that hill when you're in high school and stuff. There's just like, and one of my students did correct me the other day. Is like, Brian, nothing can stop the Lord's voice. Okay. And I was like, okay, touche. You're right. But there's something about the property there.
Yes,
that is just like his voice is loud and clear often. And I just love that because it's, it's convicting and encouraging, and just like when I walk outside and I just to go, I don't know, grab something out of my car or take one of the walks on a little break or go for a little lunch run to prep for the 5K. I don't know. I just feel so at peace with the Lord. It's an amazing place. And that if I had to nail down a favorite thing, it's going to be that.
Very special.
I would say
you've had a similar experience on the property.
I was thinking when you built the building in the back, and where you guys used to live when you first moved into that little stable thing and all of that. But I think when we used to walk the property, your dad and I all the time, and we'd be talking about the Lord. We'd walk for 2.5 hours. We walked every bit of that property, and it's as if you feel like the presence of God there. Mm-hmm. It's the only way I could describe it. I used to tell your dad, I can't never imagine anything like this. And it's not just the beauty. It's like you're walking on something that has been given to your family, and you've glorified it to God. It's just, I wish I could. That's why I speak about your winery. I just said, you can't imagine. And many times I've taken people in my truck, or when I had a truck, I'd drive and show them where all the stuff is. And I just said, everything planted here, everything done here, every piece of this dirt, you will experience. You're going to tell me, and I've had people say, man, I feel like there's a peace here, or there's a joy in this place. I said, yeah, it is dedicated that way. It's not just a business. I mean, it's wonderful. Now, even when, in the old days, when we were first walking, and I'd see Face Forest. Back you had a forest,
right?
I mean, your brother had a forest, and it was so fun. I thought, you guys just did it right here, and what you've done it's super good wine. But if someone ever wanted to take just a nice breath, go to your winery, take a breath. You can take some food, take some wine, and enjoy where you are.
Yep,
it's wonderful.
All right, fantastic. What about, back to Brian again? Brian, you have your own YouTube channel. which is big and awesome. You've done it a long time, and you're going to have me featured, or we're going to be interviewed together, or I'll be on your channel at some point. So
yeah, I mean, there's not really a time not to. I would definitely love for it to be a day when. See, here's I think where the issue might lie is like a day that you're not busy.
Right.
I don't know if those days exist for you, hence your single vacation you're taking this year, but it would be awesome to, like, maybe it doesn't have to, it definitely does not have to be a whole day. But I think if we could have a couple of hours at some point to dedicate to, like, just going around and talking about the place and your story I would want to have a couple hours at least to, like, dedicate to filming it. And
you want to do it on the property?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Definitely on the property would be the move.
Yeah, awesome. That'd be great.
Yeah. There's you mentioned about
that'd be
spots.
awesome.
Yeah, that would be. I think that would be cool.
You like the Vista Point? You like my dad's Vista Point?
I mean, I've made videos there already, walking around talking and sharing. Pretty powerful experience that I had with the Lord. One of three that I can recall in my entire life. One of them happened right there on that hill. It was, and just like you're saying, like almost a physical manifestation of the Lord's presence.
Yes.
Like I experienced it there on that hill, and I'll never forget. I can count on my, like I said, on one hand, three fingers here, like these three moments that I can recall, and one of them was there on top of that hill, just like last month, and it was super powerful. I'll never forget it.
No, cannot forget it. You cannot forget it.
Pastor Gus has had a lot of experience
in you forever.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. When the Lord appeared to me in the desert that time, that's exactly what happened. I said I never felt such. It was light like I had never seen. A sunny day, lighter than the sun, more joy than I'd ever known, and a presence that also brought a fear to this body. And I was on the ground quicker than you can be to anything. Then he began to speak to me in an audible voice, like I'm speaking to you. And it was a great time.
And you went out on a mission. You went out and you said, "I'm not coming back."
That's why when I wrote that book, if there was a God, wouldn't you want to know him? And not just believe in him. And so many times they talk about something about, going to heaven. Heaven wasn't the goal. Heaven is where he is. You want to be where he is, but you want to know him. And actually part of that, while you're doing this here, and this is a beautiful thing, Paul, that you're doing, the reason I tell people go to your winery, you're going to have great wine. But sometimes, you've lived there so long, when people don't live there and they come into your property, something happens. There is honestly a peace there that is so thrilling. You watch families rejoice. I mean, there's a calmness in the place. And then of all things, you get to drink this wonderful wine and you decorate it. And I don't know, it's an experience I always wish that anyone that comes to see us, I take them there. Mm-hmm. Why? I'm going to take you to winery, but I want you to experience something. You're going to have good wine. Don't get me wrong. You'll have the wine. But I just want you to walk through I take them through the walk through the vineyards, like you have that path now.
Right.
Yeah. It's really wonderful. It's a refreshing time, Paul.
Fantastic. Well, let's move on to the world of wine, our next section of the podcast here. Yeah, thinking about 2026 trends, what's happening in the wine world and where are we headed. A lot of growth in sparkling wine. California's sparkling wine is booming with Generation Z, and millennials are more into sparkling wine than ever before. The rosé evolution. Rosé made a big comeback a couple of years ago. It used to be white Zinfandel is what everyone thought of rosé. It had a bad connotation. It was cheap wine. It was what you drank if you didn't know about wine. But now rosé is more complex, austere. There's Rhone rosés, which we make in Paso using Grenache, Mourvedre, Syrah, which just make wonderful rosés. So definitely rosé has made a comeback. I've seen, real men drink pink. I've seen the bumper stickers and shirts. And there's rosé wine festivals. And there's a mac and cheese wine festival, which they do rosé down in Avila Beach that they do every year.
They do.
That's pretty cool. So
is that because rosé goes very well with pasta and cheese?
Yeah. It's a great pairing. Rosé. So that's been popular. There's also canned wine. Have you ever had canned wine?
Yes.
This is becoming a thing, and it's just the
I
convenience
thought you got to
of
be
it.
kidding me.
Yeah, it seems wrong to me. To have
It is, you know why it seems wrong to you, Paul? There's a reason it seems wrong to you. It's because it is wrong. Okay.
It does seem wrong.
I know Castoro and Opolo, they can wine now, and they say, and there's like a rosé can, Chardonnay can, Cabernet can, but we're not gonna can wine. So those of you who drink canned wine, try drinking wine from the bottle. Better experience. Yeah, I think overall, there's been a trend towards having wines with residual sugar, having any kind of sweet wine that's been popular with muscats and sparkling, and off dry dessert wines. So I think we need to target young people, find out what their palates are like, but also teach, give them the experience, have them come to the tasting room. Like Pastor Gus said, the first time he had wine, he didn't understand it, didn't know how to do it, and once you experience it and feel
really
it,
helps.
Really changes.
I don't know how the young people are doing today. Obviously, I'm out there in age, but I remember even teaching our kids how to enjoy it, wine, and now of course.
Yeah, your son likes wine. Yeah,
and they really enjoy it. I taught them like that guy. I said, you got to think of this as something totally different. I'm not even going to drink it,
right.
But think of it as an addition. It's like an enjoyable food,
right?
And it's beautiful. And all of our children and all of our grandchildren enjoy wine. Yeah.
I think it does. It gets passed down from the family, from generations. That's like in Italy, the Italian families and the French families. They teach their kids that wine is, you have wine with your meal, dinner, and it's just part of it, and it enhances the food, and everything is improved with wine. Well, now we have our nerd out on wine section, and I wanted Pastor Gus to lead this discussion from wine in the Bible. We believe in the Bible. We read the Bible, and wine is throughout the Bible. And there's metaphors, analogies, references. So take it away, Pastor Gus.
Well, I want to thank you for this because this was so fun. You were asking about this. And, of course, there's a lot of warnings in there about wine also, about being a drunk. But there's being a glutton on food or anything else. But there's such beautiful things about wine. I love this little part out of Proverbs. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. We've known that quite well. Do not lean on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge him, and he will make your path straight. And then he says, then he will fill your barns with grain, and your vats will overflow with good wine. Now, think of the beauty of that. I mean, that's not like our day. That was that day. But what he's telling you, you're going to prosper. And how does he say he's going to bless you? I'm going to bless you by your vats are going to overflow with good wine. And so you think of the Lord, and then of course I've got out of Ecclesiastes, I was sharing that with you earlier. So go ahead, the Lord said. And remember, all scriptures God breathed is profitable for teaching, rebuking, correcting, and training in righteousness. So this is all about righteousness. This wine today is all about righteousness. Everything we're going to drink is going to be about righteousness, okay? And he said, so go ahead, eat your food with joy, and drink your wine with a happy heart. For this God approves of. Isn't that just beautiful? And then, of course, you've got that great wine story, and the first one in John chapter 2, when the Lord is at a wedding in Canaan, and Mary comes up and says, hey, they're out of wine. And he says, what's that got to do with me? What's that got to do with me? And so he doesn't say anything other than, what's that got to do with me? And then she says, whatever, to the servants, whatever he tells you to do. So he says, okay, go fill up the water pots with water. And of course, that's 35 gallons of water. And then he brings it out, he says, now go serve it. And the guy comes out and goes, wow. Most people save the cheaper wine to the end after. You saved the best for last. And I think about wine, I wish people could, and in the think of being in a new creation in Christ Jesus, there's a freshness and a joy that is continuous. You wake up singing to the Lord. You give thanks to the Lord every meal. You don't just bow your head and say grace. It's like, Father, thank you. How in the world did you do this to me? And then I'm thinking, and then even what we call communion. Now, The Lord had to take on skin. That's the only way grace could come. He had to take on a body like us to come into an evil place. The Lord says that God made him who knew no sin to become sin so that we would become the righteousness of God. And even at that crucifixion, he had to take on and the Word of God talks about he came into the world he created, but it didn't recognize him. Then he came unto his own, and they rejected him. But, I love the but, okay? He says, but to as many as received him, believed in him, and accepted him, he gave the right to be children of God. Well, how did that happen? He says in Matthew 26, he says, and he took a cup of wine. Isn't that beautiful? I know we think it all the time in communion,
right?
But he did it on purpose. He could have done anything, but he took a cup of wine. Mm-hmm. And gave thanks to God for the cup of wine. Why? He said, I'm going to give it to you. Each one of you drink from it, because this is going to be of my blood, which is absolutely poured out for you. It's a covenant between God and man. That's what it is. And then he says, for the forgiveness of sins. And then he says, and I will not drink wine again. And here it is, until the day I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom. You know what wine is? Wine is a gift from God.
Yeah,
sin can abuse it, but it's absolutely beautiful. And then, so I look at it and I think, something happens when he says become a new creation. Now, just like that man taught me I had never smelled anything with my mouth open. And the moment I did that, man, it's like something in my smell got better. Well, this wine is that way. In the Word of God, the Lord uses wine again and again as a blessing upon a family, a blessing upon a nation. Yeah. He uses it as a blessing. And you can take God's blessings and ignore them and do them wrong. You can take, and that's what sin does. Sin takes what God has given and perverts it. But this wine, in the Word of God, you are in the right profession. When you are definitely in the right profession. Not only that, you're a man of God. And everything you do, that's why I think going on that property, or you do whatever you film and all that, you make that and you can feel a presence in this place. Thank you for letting me really say anything about this. It's wonderful.
I like in the Bible too, it talks about young wine. I always found that interesting before I started making wine, that, it says, we'll give you an abundance of young wine, or you'll celebrate with young wine. And it's because, but I think I know why they say young wine. It's because in the old days, biblical days, Old Testament, New Testament, they couldn't store wine very long because they didn't have temperature control. They didn't have air conditioning, or they would dig holes in the ground and put the amphorae, those jars, and hide them in the dirt to keep it temperate. So the wine would spoil rather quickly. So they had to, so they drank young wine before it spoiled. But the wine that Christ turned, the water that he turned to wine in that first miracle, I always thought, did it taste like aged wine? Was it, or
it
must have been pretty special. I can't imagine being able to.
I would say it tastes like the wine you made. Well, something was so radically different because they're used to drinking wine at all the parties, at the weddings.
Right.
But all of a sudden they tasted a wine that literally overwhelmed them. And the Lord says, someday in the kingdom of God, we're going to sit there with a glass of wine that God has made.
I wonder if that's going to be the same wine.
From
the first miracle, or if it's going to be something different.
Is it the same as he made for the wedding?
That's what I'm saying, right? Is it the same blend? Is it the same variety?
This is it.
That's great. But yeah, it's hard to store wine. That's really key, So
what do you think it was about putting new wine into old wineskins?
Right, yeah.
It's just like the
Do you know about that?
Well, yeah. I think it must be imparting some of that age, some of that maturity into a young wine, so you can get even though they couldn't keep it long enough for it to get to that point, you could maybe.
But they had to put the new one in new wineskins because the old wineskins would burst.
It was because of yeast, because of fermentation, because the yeast are microscopic. they're hard to clean. Back then, they didn't have ways of
even probably
of disinfecting. So the old wine skins would still have the yeast inside, even after they empty the wine out. So if they put wine in the old wine skins that contain yeast, it could re-ferment, or would ferment more than they had hoped for. Okay. So they had to start with new skins that never had wine previous, that never had yeast inside. Pretty sure that's why, because it would burst.
It does say they would burst the skin.
It would ferment. It would probably go through secondary fermentation, through malolactic fermentation, and burst open.
Yeah,
right. Because they didn't think about using oak barrels until many centuries later. But yeah, also Paul in the Bible told Timothy to drink wine to help his stomach. Yeah, I saw that verse as like a medicinal.
Timothy, he said, "Stop drinking a lot of water. Start drinking some wine for your stomach because you get sick all the time." And I was reading it last night, and I wrote it to my wife, and we were just giggling. Okay, next time you feel like you got the flu, I guess you're supposed to drink some wine because your stomach doesn't feel good. Because that's what Paul told him.
Right.
I just loved it. And I always wondered, well, Timothy, how did you do? How did you do?
Did it help?
Yeah.
Well, just awesome. Fantastic. Anything else you want to add about this, Brian?
Oh, no, I just love the fact that was our Lord's first miracle on earth. I mean, there's something to be said. He doesn't there's no accidents, right? He does everything intentionally. So I think there's just something to that. I'd love to hear from him exactly what it was or why. But in the meantime, I love just thinking about, like, he came back. He's like, I don't know if the chosen doesn't necessarily stick exactly to it, but there's that moment when he's like, this is not necessarily my time, but he's
my time has not come.
Yeah, my time has not come.
Right,
but
that's further too. Yeah.
And whatever wine tasted like back then, because I don't think it would have been possible for it to taste exactly like we taste.
No,
today.
and wine back then, they would add spices, they would add things to it to preserve it, and it wouldn't just be the straight fermented grape juice
like what we have
now.
Today.
Yeah. They would add cinnamon and clove and certain things to it, so to help it. So because maybe it was too acidic too, because they didn't get the grapes ripe enough. So to cut the acid, they would add molasses. Or they would add certain things to help with the balance of the wine. Wine probably didn't taste good back then. It probably wasn't.
Yeah, I've often wondered what it would have tasted like, because we don't. You have such a process. I mean, you put it in the barrels, you turn the barrels, you burnt barrels, you have not burnt barrels, you have this oak, that oak, this. I mean, you look at it, that's why I said I could never have thought of being a winemaker. This would drive me insane. I mean, you got to be a chemist or something.
And keeping things clean is really key. Keeping sanitation 100%. Everything's got to be tip-top clean as can be. And in the old days, they didn't think of that. There's molds growing or bacteria, and it can infect the wine and change the flavors. So then it's not tasting as pure and as perfect as it could be. So, yeah.
Well,
clearly, it makes the wine at the wedding feast much different.
Yeah, right. Clearly, Jesus had that clean wine.
Very clean wine, probably tasting as it was supposed to taste like now.
Right. And they were modern wine.
Yeah, like modern wine and like
New World.
In the world,
they time traveled to a French vineyard. Yeah. All right. Well, let's move to our event calendar. Our next section on the podcast. It's Thursday when you're watching this, which we're doing a winemaker dinner at Manny's Pizza in San Miguel. So we had a few people that aren't going to make it, so we still have plenty of tickets available. We have about 10 spots left. If you wanted something fun to do last minute on a Thursday night, it's an incredible dinner. I'm going to bring 7 wines. We got our 5 wines with the meal. Then I've got some extra special bonus wines. Wine and pizza. There's a chicken pizza, shrimp pizza, vegetarian pizza, meat lovers pizza.
That's awesome.
Paired with different wines.
What do you say, Pastor Gus? You busy Thursday night?
I think I should get there.
I think you should get there.
You would like it.
No, that sounds awesome.
Because pizza is like a winemaker's dream for pairing, because you've got cheese and meat and spices, and you got the crust and the bread, and it's just got all those flavors that this all works with wine.
That is awesome.
Great food and wine pairing. So that's coming up. Then we've got our wine club parties, February 21st, 22nd. Doing a blending party, which recently we've been selling tickets for that, so that's exciting. That's going to be an intimate group. We usually get 12 to 24 people. It's your opportunity to blend your own wine, to take a little bit of this and that and try it out and see how wines change. We're talking about, just not just making making wine from one grape, but after you make wines from individual grapes, blending them together, and wow, this tasted like that tastes like this, and together they taste like something else. That happens too, and so it's a super fun experience. So please come to that. All right, what about too much information? I do a part of the podcast where I share too much something personal about myself.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, but most of the show is pretty personal too. Yeah, I was thinking how I'm not so tech savvy. I think you're probably more tech savvy than I am.
Oh, no, you're looking
Definitely
wrong.
Brian's more tech savvy.
No, tech savvy is not me in any way, shape, way, or form.
I mean, I was the last to get a smartphone. I remember I had a flip phone. I held out as long as I could because I didn't want the internet on my phone. I was like, no, if I want the internet, if I want to email someone, I sit at my desk and I email them. Why do I need this thing available all the time? And it frustrated so many people. I had the salesmen and vendors, people trying to get a hold of me, and they're texting me, and I couldn't respond to texts. My flip phone couldn't handle it; it would die. So I had to do it. I had to get a smartphone. Yeah, but keeping up with technology is tough. And then Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, or X, all these things. We're trying to keep up, but that's why we've got Brian. So thank you, Brian. I need you.
I mean, I am reasonably tech savvy. I know exactly how to bang something to make it work if it's not functioning correctly. Or the right time to turn it off and then back on. And I was the same thing. I didn't have a phone for a lot. Tech savvy, but I also didn't have a phone until I absolutely had to. When I first got a cell phone, I was in complete disbelief that I had one. I left it, and I went to record my voicemail messages like, I don't really have a phone. It's just a joke. Leave me a joke. And this was a long time ago. I think Paul's calling for it. He's probably gotten it. That's literally the first thing I did when I got the phone. I was like, don't really have a phone. Leave me a joke. And you might imagine over the past couple decades, I've gotten thousands of jokes. People just leave me jokes. I've never changed my voicemail from the first time I got a phone. So
for 2 decades.
Yeah, 2 decades. Yeah.
That is awesome. Yeah.
Well, I've got to learn. I've got to become more tech savvy. So, yes, let's talk about that in the comments. Are you tech savvy? Do you enjoy it? Do you want to take yourself away from technology and just go hiding in the woods and never hear back from anybody again? Or do you want to be connected to the internet? I know a lot of people panic. If their phones don't work or if they can't get online.
That's what I hear.
It's a big deal with young people.
I hear that young people are really addicted to the phone.
Yeah, it's causing problems.
Serious addiction.
Real problem, like physical problems sometimes. I did some tech upgrade for Cal Poly a few years back, and we're walking around campus, and how did you not die? Like I'd walk up to some of these kids and like, hey, wake up! Like they're just walking right at me with their head down like this, like
he's not seeing you.
No, he's gonna plow me over. I was like, how did you not get hit by a car yet?
Yeah, I heard in New York City they put foam on the light posts because people are walking into them. And they had to do that.
I'm glad I'm the generation I'm at. I mean, how I grew up is what they're doing today. Really have to think about how to bless these and the families that are going to come. I mean, they didn't have the blessing like you've had. A lot of them just don't get the blessing of a mom and dad just that kind of pours into you and prays over you and walks. And of course, we did like you weren't busy on a cell phone at all. I love it. I didn't know that you held off for a long time. That is really cool that you did that. I'm not going there.
I didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
Well, let's move to the animals in the vineyard. I do a section where we talk about animals. This all started because my son Abraham is when I come home from work. He said,
"You do have."
What did you see today? And I didn't realize. And then it took me a while to figure it out. He's asking about animals that I see, an owl, a snake, a roadrunner. Well, what about a blue belly lizards? Blue belly lizards, the western fence lizard. You've seen these. There we go. There's a picture of them.
Look at that sucker.
You see him on fence posts. You see him getting warm on concrete, and I'll
actually see him all over.
Give it to Brian. Brian is here as my animal expert, so he's and a reptile expert in particular. A lizard is a reptile?
Expert's a strong word. Lizard is a reptile. I'm an expert enough to know that. Yeah, they're pretty interesting western fence lizards. You do see them everywhere. They're basically the whole western U.S. You're going to be able to find one of these guys. And you might see one, and it might be like this one here on the screen is nice and beautifully patterned and colored and light right now, but that same lizard can sometimes change color if it's trying to soak up more sun and more heat and get itself warm, because of course all reptiles are ectotherms, meaning that they don't make their own body heat, so they rely on the sun or what other form of heat out there to maintain their body temperature. So sometimes you see these guys and they'll be like jet black. You might see one and like, oh, what kind of lizard is that? It's just another western fence lizard sitting out there. And this is where they get the name, the blue belly. They got that beautiful blue coloration on the bottom of their belly.
Is that the normal size?
That's a pretty decent size. Depending if those are adults' hands holding that lizard, then that's a pretty decent size one. You know, depending if it's juvenile or not, you can have one that. I mean, if you have one that stretches and its head and its tail goes past the palm of your hand, that's a pretty decently sized lizard right there. And when they have it flipped over like that, the interesting thing is like the lizards, their brain doesn't work right, or it kind of sets them into this spot where they don't feel like they're moving. You can basically pull them upside down like that and pet them on their belly a little bit, and they'll lay there until you turn them. Just lay there, because I think they're it's probably not good for them, like as far as their mental. But I don't know if the lizards actually have mental health, but they will not move generally unless you flip them back over. They'll kind of lay there in your hand and just like lay like that. It's kind of a little trick that kids would do. But yeah, that's why they call them blue belly, even though their normal name is western fence lizard. And
that is awesome. That is a great picture.
That's a pretty nice one. They drop.
I've never flipped one over.
Yeah, give it a little try.
I've never flipped. I've seen them, but I've never flipped one. And to see that's why they're called a blue belly. They really are a blue belly.
It's super bright.
That was a magnificent picture.
Yeah, they all look like that. They're all very brightly colored with the yellow as well.
Some may be black and some may be like this.
On the back, but even when the ones that are black on the back, if you flip it over, it's still going to have that brilliantly blue belly. Yeah.
Okay.
And they lose their tail. There's a lot of lizards that do this, that lose their tails for self-defense. And they grow it back. They'll basically drop it as a distraction for a predator. Like they have little detachments.
And it'll keep wiggling.
It'll keep wiggling, and
so the predator goes after the tail.
Right, and they can escape with their life, and then they'll grow back their tail at a later date.
It's a good trick.
I'm so glad we don't have that.
I mean, I agree, but there's also moments where I think I could have used that. Like, here, get that.
Yeah.
I'll grow a new one.
Yeah. I had a friend in college, Chris Sturat. He loved animals. He had baby alligators he wasn't supposed to. He had all kinds of stuff. But he would we would be sitting outside of class before we had to go in, and he would use a piece of grass. He'd take a little thin piece of grass and make a noose out of it, and we'd see a lizard, and he'd just hold it there over the lizard, and the lizard would walk right into it, and he would catch the lizard with a thin piece of grass.
That is the most successful way to catch a western fence lizard. Just make a little noose out of grass and you can plop it right over there. If you try to reach your hand down, they'll take off, or you have to be super fast because they're quick, especially if it's a bright sunny day and they're warm. They're just like speedy. Yeah. But for some reason, they will just let you put that grass right over their head and just pick up. I don't know why. Maybe because it's not
lassoing them.
It doesn't seem. They're like, oh, it's grass. This is no problem, right?
I had never seen that before. And he did it every day before class. He would catch a lizard and hang out with it. Then
you think about your vineyard. You've had lots of animals in your vineyard.
Oh yeah.
Over the years.
Yeah.
You used to have a lot of deer in there, even.
Yeah, they come and leave, or we take care of them, or they show up next year. Yeah, we've had a lot of deer. Big and beautiful.
They used to have a lot of squirrels in there.
Yeah. It seems like we had endless squirrels. Yeah, we've taken care of a lot of the squirrels, but it's an ongoing battle. They're hard to control. One squirrel mother can have 12 pups at a time, 3 or 4 times a year.
Oh, 3 or 4 times a year.
So they have.
You get
30,
a couple
40,
of
50 squirrels.
A squirrel that's a couple. They can produce lots of kids in a year.
Yeah,
just.
It gets out of control. They take over your property.
It's too bad western fence lizards don't take care of squirrels, because they're pretty popular. So you just need more king snakes, maybe. I don't know.
Well, fantastic. So there you go. If you've seen this, experienced a lizard like this, you probably have, because they're all over the place.
Yeah, I was going to say, you should leave a comment below if you've never seen one of those, because that would be more rare.
Yeah, they're in urban areas. They're in ranch and vineyards and countrysides, but they're also, in schools.
Yeah.
They're all over the place. So pretty amazing. Well, let's jump down to the mailbag, the questions that I get. Not necessarily comments or just questions that I get at the tasting room or when I'm out and about. So
I got one for you.
Okay, you have a question.
I do. What do you make custom wine labels?
Yes, I do that. And we're talking about the wedding at Canaan in the Bible. I do wedding wine for people all the time. So they'll ask me, "Hey, we're getting married. We want to do something special. Could you make me a large bottle?" So we'll do a big label on a 6-liter bottle
Get the
or 9-liter
labels
bottle.
made for them and everything.
Yeah. I have a guy who can etch them, or we'll do a paper label, and then I can make them their own blend. They say, "Oh, I prefer a light-bodied red, so I'll do a Grenache blend," or "I really like heavy, dark, intense, long-aged wine, so I'll do a Cabernet Petit Syrah blend or something." And then it's a unique wine for their wedding. This was at my own wedding, so we got married in 2013, and we drank
Wow,
2010
that's
Cab, and I did a large bottle. Including, I also did, as gifts, everybody at the wedding got to take home a bottle. And we did 25 cases, so 300 bottles of wine. They were all gone.
They were all gone.
It was what we enjoyed at the wedding. And then as a party favor, everybody on their way out got to grab a bottle. And I thought we'd have leftover because we didn't have 300 people at the wedding, but all the bottles were gone.
Wow.
So it was great wine, but it's really special and something that I offer wine club members. I've had Porsche Club guy at one point came up to me and wanted to do a special label for his club for Christmas gifts. So we did a Porsche label and put the cards on the bottle and
That is awesome.
and put all their names on the back. So we do offer this if you're interested, and it could be any of the wines that we have. So super fun, super unique, and it's very special.
That's beautiful.
Very special. Of course, there is a cost to it, but I make it reasonable. It's a good value.
Amen.
What else you got, Brian?
Can you teach me? We're talking about pruning. Maybe we can get those pictures of pruning up there. I was wondering if that's something that you know how to do yourself. I mean, you hired a crew to do it, of course, but if you could teach me how to prune. I was look at Ernesto there. He looks like he's having the time of his life. I feel like I want to get in on that at some point.
Yeah, what's funny about pruning, I had a professor at Cal Poly in the viticulture classes that he said it takes 100 vines before you do it right. So you're going to mess up 100 vines.
100
And then because each vine is different. So you say, okay, I understand how to do it. I'm going to cut back this wood to 2 spurs and you're counting and you're spacing it out with your hands. But every vine is different. It's like people, each vine needs its own attention. You have to look after it a certain way, and it's not just one size fits all where you just cut here, and move on. You almost have to. Sometimes the way I prune is I'll prune a vine, and before I'm done, I'll take a step back and then look at it from a couple feet away. I'm like, oh, I missed this part. I needed to extend the cordon more, or I forgot to cut that part away, because you get so focused on it. You have to see the big picture. Because you're not pruning, like I said earlier, you're not pruning for 1 year, you're pruning for multiple years. But yeah, I can teach people to prune. It's really enjoyable, and it's a mental game too. It's physical and mental. So you get a workout, but then you're also, because each vine you have to start again. You have to start new. You just finished a vine, move to the next one. It looked a little different. Now you have to adapt what you're doing.
Even though it's right next to each other. They're all in the same grape.
Right.
Everything's the same.
No vine is exactly the same. Yeah.
The vine isn't the same, so you have to think of trimming it differently.
Right.
Wow,
Right.
that's
So
a
it takes a
beautiful
long
illustration.
time to get to that point where you're comfortable. And then you second guess yourself. Like, should I really make this cut? If I do this cut, I'm going to eliminate too much of the vine. It's not going to bear fruit.
Mm-hmm.
But I need to make this cut because the vine is growing out of control.
Yeah.
The vine is a bush. The vine just wants to grow and attach itself onto something and just branch out.
Okay.
It doesn't want to be trained. It doesn't want to be cut back. It doesn't want to go back to the head.
Yeah.
It doesn't want to do that. So
Gosh,
a lot of biblical metaphors.
Yeah,
so.
that's all I can think about right now. Is
so
like
many.
how the Lord prunes us, and how we don't want to be pruned, but He knows exactly where we should be pruned and what He should
Well, the
take
Lord
away.
says that. He's the vine, we're the branches.
Right.
And He prunes us so we produce more fruit. And in the pruning, it may seem quite uncomfortable.
Right.
Usually it's some kind of a weight or a discipline or a hope deferred, something like that. And then all of a sudden one day, completely unaware, something so blessed is happening to you, you can hardly contain yourself.
Right.
And people ask, how did you get like this? And then you go, well, I'm glad you asked. The Lord's been pruning me for the last 3 years. And all of a sudden, I am full of joy. Yeah. I mean, I think it's the same thing. You got a living illustration here.
Right.
When people come.
Exactly.
Yeah. Remain in the vine. Remain in the vine.
All right. Well, let's taste some wines. We've got 2 wines. We're going to try Reserve Primitivo. I like trying the younger wine first. We'll try the 2023, and then we'll try the 2022.
I don't think I've ever actually tried Primitivo. I'm pretty excited about this.
Primitivo.
Oh, this is too. This is like over the top. Whoops. Look at this.
I think the very first.
Not everybody gets to be blessed like this when they come to the podcast. Thank you. This is awesome.
I think my very first lunch break, I went and sat up at that little picnic bench that's right there in front of that's the Primitivo up there on the ridge, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the Primitivo vineyard is the highest point on the property. Yes, it's the highest elevation. It's 1,100 feet. So 2023 Primitivo Reserve. It's got the golden morning cat. It's got the inverse of silver and gold on the front and back.
Wow.
This is a high alcohol wine. This is 15.7% alcohol. So the grapes were very ripe, and it's 95% alcohol, 95% Primitivo, 5% Petite Syrah. I like adding Petite Syrah. Gives it color and texture and tannins.
What would be low for context as far as alcohol content? So 15.7 you're saying is high. What would be low?
Yeah, it depends on the region. There's some regions of the world where they don't have the same climate we have, so the grapes never reach 22 bricks or 25 bricks. So for Paso, the average alcohol is around over 14%, like right around 14 to 14.5. Where Napa, the average alcohol is probably 13.5%. In Temecula, maybe it's 15%. It's hotter for a longer period of time, so the grapes get sweeter.
So it's close. What would be like the minimum? What's the lowest percentage wine you've ever produced?
We've had wines that are 11% alcohol, 12% alcohol, but wines like that in our area could taste thin. They lack body and texture. But yeah, 2023 Primitivo Reserve, this is available right now at the tasting room.
This is like plum skin colored. This is some dark stuff.
Yeah, it's a wonderful look. And what's nice is that this was 2 lots of Primitivo. In fact, one of the Primitivos that's in here was a patient of my dad's. His name Malcolm High. He lives in Templeton on the west side, and he had a backyard vineyard. And he called me during harvest and said, "Hey, I don't know what to do. I've got 100 vines, and I'm not making wine, and it's too much work for me to pick it." So I went out there, and the grapes looked amazing, and the vineyard was taken care of. So I said, "All right." Well, he said, "If you come out, you can pick it and have it." So we went out there, and he's a photographer, and he was taking pictures of us, and it took us about an hour to pick it. It was myself, my wife, my son, and a couple of the workers, and we went out there with my green pickup. I just and I didn't know how many grapes were there. I'm like, I think you might have 1,000 pounds, so I just took 1 bin. Well, we start picking his vineyard, and our bin's filling up, and I'm thinking, I got to go back to the winery. I have to somehow get it, or I can call someone, bring me another bin, because it's not all going to fit. So we start dumping our 50-pound bins into the 1,000-pound bin in the back of my truck, and it's filling up, and then I start to push on the grapes to pack them in, because like we just got to make it fit somehow. And then there was the 5 of us all in my little pickup and the bin, and we drove back. It's just a great experience. I'll never forget it. But the grapes were great. So it's just 1,000 pounds. So his Primitivo made it into this blend. It's just about 10%, but really fantastic grapes. Malcolm High. Yeah, and Primitivo related to Zinfandel, known to have a lot of fig and prune, plums, raisin. Those are the main taste, but
Just
this has
too
a lot
bad
of
we
oak to
couldn't
it.
get them to smell how this smells.
I know, right?
We're going to pass it on to this podcast because that was wow.
Man, this reminds me of my grandmother. It was
Wow.
really cool.
That was super good.
Yeah,
Man, oh,
Reserve
man.
Primitivo. So, what I said earlier, what makes a reserve wine? Well, part of it was that experience of getting Malcolm High's Primitivo on the west side of Templeton, but the Primitivo in this bottle, that's our fruit, is from the last pick. So when we harvest grapes, we do it in multiple stages, and this was the last day of picking. So the grapes were as ripe as I was going to get
Is there
them.
going to be?
And then I used some really high-end oak barrels in the aging of this wine, and we aged it longer. Typically, we bottle our Primitivo after 10 months in oak. This was after 18 months, so it saw extended time in barrel. So it's got more of an oxidized, smoother, rounder taste to it because of that. Well, let's try the 22, go back a year, see if we prefer one over the other. Oh, thank you, Brian.
There you go.
Primitivo. Pastor Gus, too, I wanted you to mention your book because you were one of the authors. You were supposed to be one of the authors featured
Yeah.
at the author showcase. So if you could tell us where people can purchase your book, and we'll do a link in the description
Yeah, I
so
should
people can
probably
find
show
it.
you. You can purchase them on Amazon, and you can get them there. They're more expensive there. If you get them here in town, I'd get a hold of me, but I'd get less. But they're on Amazon, and then in a couple of months, I'm doing an audio version of it, and it'll be on Kindle and Amazon starting probably in April.
Now, please tell me you're doing the reading. You're doing the reading?
I'm actually doing the reading. But I tell you how funny this is. I've got this guy that this is what he does, and he said, "Listen, I read your book. You need to use your voice in this book."
Yes.
And I said, "Why my voice?" He said, "I promise your voice is distinct, and I can hear you when you're doing it." So I said, "Okay." And he's so into this AI thing now. He just told me, "Now, Gus, if something happens and you die early, AI's got you down. It can do it."
I mean, he's not
It'll
wrong.
sound just like you. I said, "That's spooky."
It is a little spooky. He's not wrong though. It's that's the thing.
I mean, that it could do that. It already knows how I do things.
The scary thing is that you could actually make a video of you saying it, and
Of me saying that.
yeah,
And it's not me at all.
right.
Yeah.
That's a little bit.
Well, hopefully the audio will come out in late April. It'll be on Kindle and Amazon. The book is there. And I've just had so many churches all of a sudden get into it, and had an Episcopalian church down in San Bernardino, Redmond or something like that, and be going down there. They used it for a year in their men's ministry.
They just walked through it.
They walked through it, developed questions.
study?
They sent me the question what they did, which are real good. And that's because I said, "Why did you pick the book?" He said, "Your title, If There Is a God, Wouldn't You Want to Know Him?"
yeah, that's a good one.
Here it is. Thank you, Miguel. We got it up
There
on the
is,
screen.
right there. Yeah.
We'll put the link
Thank
in
you.
the description. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, you can get that on Amazon right now.
I started reading it. Actually, it's I'm enjoying it so far.
Thank
Your
you.
time in Hawaii, I can relate to for sure.
Yeah, it's been a journey with the Lord. It's been so refreshing when He found me, and then I said He's put up with me for so much, and then He just gave me a life that I don't know how to describe. Well, you can read it in the book, but there's nothing better than His presence. Yeah. It's hard to put it in the right words, but that's what I do right now. And so even with other men in the churches I get to speak at, and right now at the Bridge Church where I'm at. So.
And you connect with men. I mean, you really
connect with men, yeah.
Young men. And,
even we've been allowed to live in 8 different states. So started 4 different churches during our journey, my wife and I. And we've always had more men in the church than we had women. We always turned down 53% men, 47% women. And the church is 1,300 or 800 or 1,000, 500. But it's always 53% men, 47% women.
It's interesting.
Well, it's good that you can touch the men, because you touch the men, you'll touch the community. Right. And if a man becomes a man after the heart of God, he will learn to love his wife as Christ loves the church. Mm-hmm. And all things change then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Amen.
It's really good.
Well, 2022 Primitivo. I definitely noticed a difference just right away.
It's even darker somehow.
You know, it's got more developed taste. You know, it's a little it's opened up more. You know, it's easier to pick it apart. But These are both really
You winemakers
excellent.
are awesome.
I like this wine a lot, but very similar. Where I chose my favorite lots of Primitivo, added a little bit of Petit Syrah. The years themselves were very different. 22 didn't get much rain, very dry. 2023 we had all these storms and the vines responded by a big crop. But so that's what's fun is years down the road is to compare these different vintages. So
I pick up a lot of the same notes on this as I do in the J Jagger, which makes sense.
Yeah.
Now, but it's interesting.
yeah, and it's a lot of the same aromas. The fruit qualities in 2022 are there in 2023 because those are inherent in the vineyard. You know, like there's certain tastes in the vineyard that are in that vineyard that are always in that vineyard. And you can tell, like, this is Paul's Primitivo vineyard. This is this other guy's vineyard. This is Malcolm's Primitivo. It had a different taste. And it picks up where it's grown.
This is selling
Changes.
me on why you let wine age in a bottle a little bit. I personally like this better than the 23. Maybe it's the second sip in glass. Maybe that makes it. I'm sure that makes a difference, but it just seems even more round. Than,
More approachable, and it's developed for sure. Well, this has been a lot of fun. Thank you guys both for being here. This is an incredible podcast.
It's
Great,
been magnificent.
Thanks for all that you
Absolutely
shared. It's just a
Wow.
great time. So, yep. So next week I won't be here. So thank you, Brian. Brian's gonna take over.
Thank
and
you, Brian.
They're gonna talk.
That'll be awesome.
They have lots of things they're gonna cover and do. So
Thank you, Paul. You
Pastor
deserve
Gus?
a vacation.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a
You
hard working
think you
dude.
deserve a vacation.
Probably more than one.
I mean-
More than one.
Most people have no idea how busy you are, and it's hard to even take a vacation. You're so
Yes,
busy.
yeah, we have a lot happening all the time.
A lot of happening.
A lot of moving parts.
Yes, you do. Okay.
So thanks everybody. I'll be back next week, or I won't be back next week.
Real blessed.
Brian will be back next week. So leave a comment, like, and subscribe. Appreciate it. See you all very soon.